Welcome to video number 5 of our revenue roadmap. This is called Know Your Clients, the quickest and easiest way to understand everything you need to know about the people that you are working with. This is the cheat sheet to knowing your clients, which is a quick one-page summary of what this video is about. Because you got to remember, this whole process is really a proven way to be able to connect with people that you want to work with. You are never going to have to struggle with identifying and relating to your clients ever again. They will be easy to find and easy to connect with when you walk through this process. This is a sample of the perfect customer profile that we're going to have you fill out. We're going to get you to identify pains, frustrations, fears, and implications. These are the things they're moving away to, and they're moving toward what? Their goals, desires, dreams, aspirations, and these are the things that you need to understand and be able to deliver to them. This is the 5th step in our whole revenue roadmap journey, which is literally the simplest and most effective system for anybody serious about understanding their clients so they can bring their dreams to life. To start with, I always ask this question: why does it matter? Why is it so important to really get to know the clients you want to serve before we do anything else? Knowing everything you can about your client is like having a secret sauce for the recipe you deliver. Imagine you're a chef and there are many other chefs vying to get people to buy their food. What makes you stand out so successful and get people coming back is your secret sauce. Your recipe is similar to every other person who does what you do. But there's that one little extra that makes you stand out: knowing your clients on a different level. This is what it's like when you build knowing your clients. If it's that important, why doesn't everybody do it? Well, this is why most people don't take the time to really get to know everything they can about their clients. Some people literally focus on the money, and that's what they're really focused on. That's what they're trying to make, and they will take the path to least resistance to make money. And it usually doesn't include taking the time to really get to know their clients that deeply. For some people, oh my gosh, it takes too much work. It's just extra work and a bother for them, so they really just don't do it. And thirdly, customers just want to know too much nowadays. So what is it? It's a bother to us. This is what happens quite often. And this is why your average chef, just like you, shall we say, doesn't take the time to really connect and get to know their clients. But my friends, this is how we do it. We are going to leave behind the idea that it's too hard to get to know your clients. You don't have to work too hard. This is how you get to know them and be a bit better than your competition. To know your clients, there are going to be 3 simple action steps. We are going to define their pains and frustrations. We are going to define their fears and implications. And we are going to define their goals and their desires. Let's start with number 1. Define their pains and frustrations. Why is this so hard to do? Like I said, sometimes people just want to follow the path of least resistance, and it's too hard if they can't just sell. So they're not interested in learning those things. Or number 2, they get caught up in just the daily rush of the rat race, and to slow down and to do something like this is just not in their norm. Or number 3, they are really just focused on selling and not under the habit of learning these things about their clients. But this is how you get to easily know your clients much better, even though it may seem a little bit hard. To find their fears and frustrations, the first thing we do is we put ourselves in their shoes and walk their walk in order to be able to do this. You're not trying to identify their fears and frustrations from your point of view, but from their point of view. Secondly, we ask the questions. Okay, now I'm walking in their shoes. What are their pains? I can understand. What are the problems that are driving them? What frustrations are caused by these problems? After you've identified these things, and if you'd like to, you can just write them down on a sheet of paper or scribble some notes, then write it in a descriptive paragraph. Here's an example of a description of what I've written of somebody in step one. This was when they're building their vision statement. And I talked about their pains and frustrations. And this is what I wrote. I wrote, they see a future dimly in general because inside they don't have the faith in themselves to make it happen. They don't want to dream in detail. Generally is safer. It's like they dabble. The pain begins stepping out of their comfort zone, which is what they're doing when they're starting to dream that way. The whole experience is painful because it's outside of the world they live in right now. So to create a vision statement like that is extremely painful for some people. After we talked about their fears and frustrations, now we're going to their pains and frustrations. Now we're going to move on to number two. We're going to define their fears and implications. You're going to start to observe repetition throughout here because it's the same thing that stops us from connecting with our clients. The three same obstacles as we talked about before. Some people follow that path of least resistance, and it's too hard if they can't just sell because they don't do it on a regular basis. They've got a habit of focus and moving into selling. Other people are just caught up in the rush of that daily rat race, and to slow down and do this really takes a lot of work. And some other people's motives, they're really just focused on selling and not under the habit of learning the things that they need to learn about their clients. And I'll say this a couple more times, but it's really important to understand this stuff. Okay, so how do we easily get to know our clients much better, even though we may not be in the habit of doing it? Let's repeat the same steps again, but ask different questions. Number one, we're going to put ourselves in their shoes, and we are going to walk their walk to be able to do this right. So that when we ask the questions, we'll be able to answer them from their point of view. So then we're going to ask these questions. What are their fears? What's holding them back? What are the implications in their lives because of these fears? Once you contemplate this and you scribble some notes down, again, write a descriptive paragraph. Here's a description that I wrote down of the fears and implications. What fears? Let's go through the mind. What if I can't handle it? What if it's too big? What if I fail? What if I'm ridiculed? Maybe I'm not good enough. These are the thoughts that go through their mind. Implications? Well, they hesitate. It's hard for them to make decisions. They get complacent, sometimes maybe even procrastinate, stay away from detail and just dabble and really become inconsistent. In our first two steps, we have identified the things that they want to move away from. Now, in our third step, we are going to identify what they want to move toward. And remember, I'm using step number one, which is the first video you watched on how to create a vision statement. So now we're going to get to know them in a different way. We want to help define their goals and their desires. What stops us from using this little secret sauce and just going a step farther to be ahead of our competition? Again, we often decide just to follow the path of least resistance. It's too hard if we can't just sell it and take that little extra step. Or we get caught up in just the rush of the rat race and we're going, going, going. And sometimes it's just too hard to slow down to really do this. We just don't want to do it. And thirdly, sometimes we get focused on selling and we're just not under the habit of learning these things about our client. And it's too difficult to form this kind of habit. This is how you get to easily know your clients and know what they want, even though you might feel rushed at times. You know the pattern, but let's walk through it anyway. Put yourself in their shoes. Before you do this, make sure that you are walking their walk. Then ask yourself the questions. What are their goals? What do they really want to accomplish? Scribble your notes and then formulate a descriptive paragraph. So here's what I wrote about the goals and the desires of the people that we're trying to build this revenue roadmap. Their goals are usually things they are thinking about, but nothing written down with specifics. If it's written, it's usually pretty general and vague. Their desires are usually a little farther out than their dreams, but not definitive, not definite, more pipe dreams. It's all about their lack of belief in their abilities. All right, my friends, let's summarize. This is the Know Your Client's homework. Number 1, define their pains and frustrations. And it's all done the same way. Walk in their shoes. We want to describe what problems they're facing and the frustrations they bring on, right? Number 2, define their fears and implications. Walk in their shoes. We want to describe what fears they have and the implications in their lives because of them. And number 3, define their goals and desires. Walk in their shoes. What brought them to you? Why do they have their goals? Why those desires? And remember, this is the 5th step in our revenue roadmap, which is the simplest and most effective system for anyone that is serious about understanding their clients so they can bring their dreams to life. If you're serious about building a revenue roadmap, you've got to walk in your client's shoes. It all starts with knowing your clients. Otherwise, you guys, in your work, in life, it's going to be the status quo. You'll focus on making money and do just the least you have to make it. And believe me, you make far less than you could if you connected with the client. You never have the work ethic to really care about them, even though you may say you do, but your actions will prove otherwise. Why? Honestly, on the inside, you got a too busy to bother attitude. Does that mean you're not making money? No, it doesn't. Not whatsoever. But what it does mean is you are falling far short of what you can do. This is the customer profile that we have filled out. You notice we didn't do the dreams and aspirations. First, we talked about the idea of what they are moving away from. They're moving away from pains and frustrations right now. Eventually, fears and implications of what things lead to. This is what they're moving away from, right? And what do they want to move toward? They want to move toward their goals and desires. Their dreams and aspirations are eventually things in the future. But their goals and desires are things right now. These are the things you've got to get to know, because somebody else out there besides you will sell them what you are going to sell them if they can connect with them better than you can. So it's up to you. Do you want to talk their talk? Do you want to connect with them and say, listen, I understand, and then be able to share stories and experiences so that your potential clients think or say, you know what, he gets me or she gets me. In order to do that, you've got to identify their pains and frustrations that they have right now that they're moving away from, the fears and implications that will take place in the future that they're going to move away from, their goals and desires of things they want right now. This is what's driving them to you. Then they have dreams and aspirations. These things you can learn, the dreams and aspirations, by just talking to them and asking some more questions. And it will enhance your conversations with these people. And this is all about connecting with them on a level deeper than your competition. This, my friends, is your secret sauce.